Call this meeting of the Rules Administration Procedure Committee to order. The date is March 18th. The time is 3 o'clock. With us today, we have Alderman Barrero, Alderwoman Smith, Alderman Bug, and myself, Alderman Franco. First item is 25-0201, approval of the minutes from Rules Administration and Procedure Committee meeting held on March 4th, 2025.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderwoman Smith. We have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 4-0. Clerk, do we have anybody from the public wishing to speak?
No one has signed up.
Okay, then we'll go to the meat of the agenda. First item is 25-0225, a resolution approving the appointment of Robert Dunn to the Civil Service Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the, all right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes 4-0. Next one is 25-0226, a resolution authorizing the appointment of Marguerite Blitch to the Mayor's Sustainable Aurora Advisory Board.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Barrero. Questions or comments from the committee?
Yeah.
Alderman Bug.
Alex Voigt with the Mayor's Office.
Hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. In this one, I just wanted to see, did she like kind of apply generally, and then we placed her on this one, or did she specify this board?
That's a great question. Let me check. I will say I came to be familiar with this applicant because the staff liaison for the board reached out and asked if we could appoint her, and we did have a vacancy. So let me see.
Okay, so it didn't come in as general. Just in reading her resume, it looked like she would be great for a lot of things. Just didn't, I mean, I didn't see anything about, that sustainable, in her resume, just.
So this was her second choice board.
Okay,
I'm looking,
yeah.
and this
Okay.
was her second selection. And what we do when we receive her first board, we don't have any vacancies
Right,
on, so
right.
we sent it to the staff liaison. He agreed to recommend her. And with the sustainability board, finding people that have experience in that particular area can be challenging. So oftentimes if someone demonstrates an interest and a passion towards it, I mean, we're happy to
Right.
put them on.
Okay, great, thank you.
All right, so we had a motion by Alderwoman Smith, second by Alderman Barrero. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, do we, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that passes 4-0. And the next one is 25-0224, a presentation and discussion of upcoming proposed ordinance amendment to Chapter 27, specifically Section 27-176, parking commercial vehicles, trailers, and truck tractors in residential districts.
So I'm just going to do just a quick overview before we hand it over to APD. So we're doing this a little bit differently. APD will explain the background on this. We do have an ordinance amendment drafted, which you'll actually see in the PowerPoint. But when it comes to issues like parking, these can be topics from time to time that are of great interest to the City Council. So what we decided to do was give you the history, the background, the draft amendment, just in a presentation and discussion. So this committee can review, ask all the questions that you want. If you feel comfortable with it in its current form and without us, having, if you want us to discuss it with additional alder people, then we can either bring the actual ordinance amendment to this committee, or we can put it on new business at COW. So we'll come back at the end for discussion, but I just wanted to throw that out there. We're doing this one a little bit different because parking can be such a big topic for council members.
So new business tonight for COW.
Nope. Today you're just seeing the presentation.
Right.
You'll get the history. It would be the April 1st COW.
But we'll have another RAP committee meeting prior to that anyway.
Yes, you
Okay.
would. So
Yeah,
we
that's why I
could
was
go to.
asking that. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the floor is open in terms of how we proceed. We wanted to really take the temperature first.
Okay.
So I'm going to hand it over to APD.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I've met most of you, but for those that I haven't met, my name's Grant Weil. I'm a police officer through our police department. I'm assigned to our community-oriented policing unit. I'm currently assigned to District 14 on the far east side. So today we want to talk about ordinance 27-176, parking commercial vehicles, trailers, truck tractors in residential districts. The Aurora Police Department consistently fields hundreds of parking complaints each year. Many of these complaints involve commercial vehicles that often cause safety concerns for both motorists and pedestrians alike. The community-oriented policing unit is tasked with identifying issues, often quality of life concerns, addressed by Aurora residents and finding long-term solutions to these issues. Commercial vehicle parking complaints have been consistently reported to officers in all areas and police districts throughout the city. This presentation provides a brief overview of the current ordinance pertaining to commercial vehicles, examples of the status of current commercial vehicle parking, as well as a proposed amendment to ordinance 27-176. We believe these proposed changes will have a significant positive impact to quality of life for all residents in the city of Aurora without impacting the normal operation of Aurora businesses. It's up there. So you have the current version of 27-176 up on your screen right now. As it currently reads, no commercial vehicle or truck tractor with or without a trailer exceeding 2 tons in weight according to vehicle registration or any type of trailer, regardless if the trailer or semi-trailer is attached to another vehicle, shall be permitted to park on any public street in a residential district between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. for a period longer than 2 hours between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. or in a manner to obstruct other vehicular traffic or cause a hazard. Note that the current ordinance already provides a definition for what a trailer is and also clarifies what is considered a commercial vehicle. The current ordinance also provides the police department with the authority to remove vehicles in violation of the ordinance. However, this only pertains to residential districts. Oops. There we go. The following slides are a brief example of commercial vehicle parking issues that community-oriented policing officers have addressed or are currently still addressing. Duke Parkway, the south section. Parking concerns on Duke Parkway were first brought to APD's attention in early 2024. Several local businesses contacted the COP unit describing safety concerns created by semi-trucks parked on both sides of the roadway, causing serious visibility concerns for drivers attempting to navigate through the street and onto private lots for legitimate business deliveries. Many of these vehicles are registered to businesses located outside of the city of Aurora and do not have any business with any of the properties in the Duke Parkway Business District. I've personally spoken with some of these drivers who admit that they park these vehicles on Aurora streets before driving their personal vehicles home, which are also often not in Aurora because they are aware that the city does not enforce commercial vehicle parking in these areas. Currently, the city of Aurora is effectively providing free parking for commercial businesses and their large commercial vehicles while parked on city streets. The COP unit began working with the city of Aurora engineering to address the issue. After lengthy traffic studies were completed, utilities were marked, and additional signage was finally approved, the police department finally began to see an improvement in the area. Drivers were quickly beginning to adhere to the signage. However, they quickly realized that they could legally park these same vehicles on the other side of the street, and the same problems began once again. Excessive amounts of trash were left behind by drivers, several stolen vehicles have been recovered there, and excessive noise from idling trucks, particularly during the overnight hours, still affected both area residents and businesses alike. The northern section of Duke Parkway. Nearby Warrenville residents have also expressed similar concerns to APD. Like managers of the businesses in the Duke Parkway area, these residents have also expressed safety concerns when exiting their neighborhood onto Aurora streets, as semis parking close to the subdivision entrance block the line of sight for drivers to safely enter the roadway without fully entering the intersection to see past the semis. So residents that are turning onto Duke Parkway are not able to actually see past the semi-trucks that are parked there because they're so close to the intersection. Additional signage was approved and installed on the north end of Duke Parkway. As of now, the signage has proven to be effective. However, the process took over 1 year to complete before any meaningful change was able to take place in this portion of the roadway. The same problems still occur on the south end of Duke Parkway, like we discussed, where signage has not been installed. and that is the south side as it currently is. Commercial vehicle parking concerns on Gabrielle Lane have also been reported to District 10 COP officers for well over a year. Area residents often park their company vehicles on the street, making navigating around them difficult for drivers of passenger vehicles and other commercial vehicles passing through. Not only do they pose safety concerns over motorist visibility, but they also diminish the visual appeal and aesthetic quality of the residential area. Over time, this could even lead to decreased property values or a loss of interest by potential owners or renters in the area. So this is right by the post office out on the far east side. Long Meadow Drive. Similarly, Long Meadow Drive experiences a high number of commercial vehicles parking in an area that has a large multifamily housing complex adjacent to it. Even with signage posted, as you can see in the picture there, APD officers are only authorized to ticket these vehicles and tow them if not removed within 48 hours. Note that there's a high number of pedestrians in the area due to the residential complex, including children playing through the area. So due to the challenges of consistent commercial vehicle parking enforcement previously discussed, APD is suggesting the following amendment to the existing ordinance regarding commercial vehicle parking in residential districts. Let me switch that for you. We propose removing language that limits the ordinance to only residential districts. By doing so, this will allow for more effective, consistent commercial vehicle parking enforcement throughout the entire city, including areas zoned as both residential and commercial, which often can be immediately adjacent to each other, causing confusion and frustration by Aurora residents. Note that the amendment does not change the definition of what a commercial vehicle is. Rather, it keeps the same 2-ton weight limit as it currently holds in the current ordinance. The same prohibition on overnight parking in residential districts will be extended to commercial districts between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. During the day, commercial vehicles are still able to operate and make deliveries to facilities without issue, as they are afforded the same 2-hour window as currently prescribed by the ordinance. The purpose of the proposed amendment is not to hinder business in the city of Aurora. Instead, the language has also been added to ensure that commercial vehicles actively making deliveries or providing a service are not affected. So it's going to be the language in red added at the bottom there. Lastly, the authority to immediately remove vehicles found in violation of this ordinance will have a significant positive impact on the responsiveness and ability for APD to address frequent complaints of commercial vehicles parked on city streets. The proposed amendment to the ordinance will benefit Aurora residents and businesses alike by allowing consistent standards to be applied throughout the city. The lengthy process of conducting traffic surveys, engineering surveys, utility markings, and eventual signage installation would not be necessary if an ordinance applied to all districts throughout the city. The proposed amendment is consistent with approaches taken by neighboring jurisdictions. The city legal department carefully considered standards set by other municipalities to suggest language that mirrors those cities' intent in regulating their own commercial vehicle parking. As previously mentioned, the language used in our current ordinance is sufficient in regulating commercial vehicle parking in our residential districts. However, given current consistent complaints, APD feels that applying this ordinance to all districts will alleviate concerns raised by area residents and business owners. It's also important to note that the proposed amendment to our current ordinance does not have any impact on Aurora residents' ability to park personal, non-commercial vehicles on city streets in any type of district, including during the overnight hours. To the contrary, restricting commercial vehicles parking on city streets creates additional parking for these residents. This amendment would address Aurora residents' frequent quality of life concerns over excessive noise and air pollution created by commercial vehicles. Lastly, the safety of everyone visiting, living in, or working in Aurora is our #1 priority. Limited visibility around large commercial vehicles can obstruct the view of motorists, cyclists, and pedestrians, increasing the chances of a serious traffic crash. As witnessed on Duke Parkway, for example, Parked commercial vehicles can limit the space for others to safely navigate through the area, creating dangerous bottleneck situations that cause unnecessary congestion and unnecessary delay to area businesses' deliveries. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to answering any questions.
Questions or comments from the committee?
I have
Alderwoman
some
Smith.
questions and some comments. So what if neighborhood, somebody comes and visits you, they have a RV? Can they park in your driveway? I mean, just trying to figure out what that means, like an RV or a camper or whatever. I just putting it out there to what degree we're talking about.
Yeah, so Sergeant Matthew Bynum with the Community Policing Group.
Yeah.
That would fall under just your normal parking ordinances in town with the RVs and trailers that are allowed to park. So this does not affect that. This is just strictly for commercial vehicles that reach that 2-ton mark.
Thank you. I know, I'm not familiar with, obviously far west side, but I know on the east side, I personally have places in my ward where they've constantly parked, and they act like they don't know that they're not supposed to park there until they get caught. But then they get caught and then they come back. So this has been an ongoing area, and I know that Ward 10 has it even worse because they have Meridian Park, and they park all over Meridian Park. So I support this ordinance. Obviously, I'm open to what other aldermen have to say, but I feel like if the municipalities around us have this ordinance, and we're the only one that doesn't, these trailers are being parked on Aurora streets. They're taking their car home. So that they don't have to pay to park their trailer. So we are housing the trucking business to some extent, trailers, while they go home to their families in another municipality. So I think this is a great thing for our city. I think it might take a little while for them to get used to it. Some towing will occur. And what is the cost of towing one of those trailers? $1,500?
I believe it's $1,500. yes.
$1,500. So that's all I'm going to say right now, but I absolutely support this 100%.
Alderman Barrero?
Yeah, I wanted a clarification on trying to find it here. There was language regarding the boat trailers, utility trailers, travel trailers,
Yes.
truck campers, landscape trailers, vehicle transport vehicles. Are these not allowed?
Currently, they're not allowed in residential districts.
They're not allowed in residential districts, okay. So a landscaping, like I have a small one that I use to, move stuff in. It's not for work, but is that prohibited?
Under the current ordinance
Yes.
now, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
the current ordinance has already been, that's already been put in there. We didn't add any additional into
Correct.
the current ordinance, the additional verbiage, but that's already in there citywide anyway.
Okay, good to know. So it's in the garage now, because you drive by the house.
People don't realize that's what they got garages for too, and this might help some of that.
So my question is, I had a resident who stated there was a lot of commercial vehicles parked in the neighborhood, and I don't know that they'll, like when you say 2 tons, how to equate that, because there's a lot of work trucks, and sometimes they're just regular pickup trucks, but they fasten these little sides to them, and then they pile junk higher than the top, and then they park out in the street, and then they're an eyesore. Is that being addressed with this?
No, so this ordinance is gonna be for your larger semi-trucks, larger box trucks, pickup trucks that are plated, with just a normal plate, your normal B-boy truck plate, the ones with the little B on it, that will not affect that. What we would have to do, looking at trying to address that issue, would be looking at that's a traffic hazard or safety hazard parked on the street by visibility with having those things in the back, or a quality of life issue within that neighborhood. We would have to look at how we would address those in specific neighborhoods. But this ordinance amendment is specifically meant for larger vehicles Those semi-trucks, the trailers that are attached, you'd be surprised as you're driving through, a lot of them are just the trailers that are parked there. The cab is actually gone. It's just a trailer. Another big issue that we are seeing around are car haulers. With a bunch of cars that are stacked on them being delivered to other locations, they'll park them on our city streets, and then they leave for a day or two at a time, and then come back and pick them up. And currently, we're unable to really enforce anything on those without that 48-hour violation. So this amendment is specifically trying to address those concerns. That concern would have to probably be readdressed with another ordinance or with quality of life issue.
You say box truck, you mean
Yeah.
the work truck with the panels on the side, or are you talking like the bread
Like a
truck?
U-Haul.
Yeah.
Like a U-Haul?
Like
a
a
big
like a
U-Haul
moving
truck.
truck, right?
How about the short one? How about the short box truck?
I'm sorry. I
The
was
short box truck?
I'm not quite sure what.
The shorter one, like a bread truck, but it's
Like a van. So a lot of this is going to
not a van, but it's, well, I guess.
like a Sprinter van.
For
That's kinda what
moving.
you're
Not a
talking
van,
about.
but it's a truck with
Yeah.
the shorter size.
The small U-Haul.
Small
box
U-Haul.
truck.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I don't know
about
what
that.
that is.
We'd have to look at that. I think what this, if you can go back, Grant, can you scroll back to the, I think there's a, let's see here. So it says exceeding the 2 tons in weight according to vehicle registration. That's the key point right here, is that vehicle registration. So as we look at what we can and cannot tow, right under that first paragraph there is where we're going to enforce this. And it's anything that exceeds a 2-ton weight with the registration. So your normal B-Boy truck plate will not classify as being towed based upon the vehicle registration. So you're looking at a D plate, which is a larger plate, or a semi-truck plate, and a portion plate, those plates that carry that weight classification for the ordinance. Does that answer it, Mr. Alderman?
Yeah, I'm just trying to, I know, I guess some residents that are like, oh, we got all these commercial vehicles, but sometimes some of those vehicles are just a regular truck with, their business on it,
Correct, yeah, and this ordinance isn't, I think the safety net for the residents, I think as we're looking at this, we have, let's say, a plumber who has his plumbing truck that's parked outside overnight, that with the B-Boy truck plate on it. I want to say B-Boy, that letter B next to the letters on your license plate. That doesn't classify as a commercial vehicle under this ordinance because of the fact that the vehicle registration is different. It's a lower classification. So we're not looking at trying to change the ordinance to tow any of those vehicles. We don't want to increase anything for our residents in town. We want everybody to be able to still have their jobs and still be able to do everything they do. Our issue with this is the large semi-trucks, the large truck trailers, the car haulers that don't even belong to town. They do not reside here. They're not registered here. Officer Weil and we could tell you one whole length of Gabriel, most of the people came back to Joliet or Chicago. They're not even residents. They park here because it's free, and they're going back into the city and coming back out here to get their trucks. So this is what this amendment is meant to address. Those are valid concerns, though, Mr. Alderman, with those trucks in the neighborhoods, and we would love to work with you and try to address those issues as well.
I just wanted
Yeah.
clarity, because when this comes up, people are going to want to know, and those issues, we can still look at them.
Sure.
For,
Yes, sir.
through property standards or whatnot.
Alderman Bug?
Thank you, Chairman. I only have one question, and unfortunately, I think I know the answer to it, but I'm going to ask anyway. For my one resident who talks to me about this almost weekly. This does not impact private drives adjacent to strip malls, et cetera.
No.
Okay.
This is parked solely on city streets.
City
Okay.
streets.
Okay.
Wait, okay, well, that brings up a whole different point, because if you have little private, I'm sorry, I jumped in there.
Oh, no, that's, yeah, so, I mean, I think we know the situation. On private drives, that is under the purview of the owner of that strip mall. They have to put up no parking signs, and then towing company can take care of the situation. And it takes a lot of work. It's taken me a lot of work, working with the businesses and, you know, the people who park there and on and on. It's a continual thing, so.
Alderwoman Smith?
I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn.
No, that's okay. And then, did you want to say, okay. Go ahead. Did you, no, are you?
I'm done.
Okay, Alderman Donnell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I came today to join in this discussion because I obviously get a lot of questions about parking as well. So can you, I've been told semi-trucks, when we had the 6-ton limit or whatever trucks coming through, that we had to weigh them to ticket them. Can we just say, yeah, that's a 2-tonner and do a ticket, or do you have to weigh the vehicle to establish the 2 tons?
Good question, Alderman. No, this is going to be based off that vehicle registration, so we'll be able to ticket and tow immediately. We won't have to go and weigh it. It's all based off of the classification of the registration or the license plate that is attached to that vehicle.
So, you're proposing, if we ticket them, we're gonna tow them right away?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So there's no just give them a ticket and wait 48 hours, or?
Well, that's currently, sir, that's currently what we do now, and we have realized that that's an issue, because what happens is, as we ticket them and we sticker them for the 48-hour violation, then within the 48 hours, they just move a couple feet down the road, and now they're no longer in violation of the 48-hour ordinance, or they move to the opposite side of the street, and now they're no longer in a 48-hour violation. So now we ticket them again, and we re-sticker the vehicle again, and it's just playing whack-a-mole, so to speak, within the city by going back and forth from one side of the town or one block to another. So that's why this amendment came up, because currently the way that we're doing is a little archaic. We've noticed that other towns are doing things a little bit better than we are. So we're looking at trying to amend this so we can kind of get in line with them. And Alderman Smith, or Alderwoman Smith, was absolutely correct. I think some of the issues are that we've asked, why aren't you parking in the town you live in? And they said, well, they don't allow it. So you guys do.
Yeah.
So we're trying to avoid that.
I appreciate that, and I completely support this.
Thank you.
We don't get a lot of semi-trucks in the 4th Ward. What we do get is landscape trailers, the little ones. I know they're not 2 tons. Those are covered by a different ordinance?
That's correct. That's covered under this ordinance already, under the section, as you can see, is it
It's 176.
176? Yeah, is that on there though, Grant?
Yes.
It says landscape trailers, but
Yeah,
then you got
so that's
the
already there. That's
then you
also
got
a
the 2
ticketable-
tons, and they're not, these are small landscape trailers, a little bigger than
Correct.
Dan's trailer he's got in his garage, so.
So that's ticketable to being parked on the city street. And if that trailer is, we would sticker that trailer as well to move. Most of the time, we as police officers here, we always seek compliance the best we can with neighborhoods, right? With residents, we go knock on the door. We try really hard to find the owner of those vehicles. We don't want to impose fines or fees on our residents. That's a last case scenario for us. But the issue with the semi-truck parking is that we have a hard time seeking compliance with them because they're not here. They're not unable to get a hold of trucking companies. Usually when you call the number, they'll come back to a phone tree system that we don't get anyone. So as it pertains to your landscape trailers, we would knock on the door, or we try to locate that owner and have them move them. And then once they're on private property, then it becomes an inspections issue. Or if it's on a driveway or on a front yard or something like that, then, you know, the city inspections would go out there and cite them and deal with them that way.
And one final thing that, like Dan with his constituent, I have a constituent that has a camper, and she can't get it on the driveway, and we used to have 48 hours, now we have 2 hours, which isn't enough time to charge up the battery in the camper. I found out, you know, after 12 years, I found there's some places over by the high school where homeowners have a special permit to park on the street, you know, that don't match the signage. Is there any thought, or I'm trying to figure out how I could help this person who parks in front of their house, you know, like 3 times a year to charge up their camper and put the food in and everything like that. And again, I don't wanna take anything away from you as far as enforcement, but if this person could have the ability to put their camper in front of their house for 48 hours, that'd be something I wondered if we could look at.
Mr. Alderman, yes, I'm not familiar currently with that ordinance that I would be comfortable speaking to at this time about the RV being parked and the laws that would pertain to the 48-hour violation with that. But I'm more than willing to look into that and get back to you. And I think us as a community policing department, one of our most favorite jobs is to try to find long-term solutions to these short little problems. So I would love to continue working with you and see if we can find a solution for that.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have one last thing.
Alderwoman Smith, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, so, please correct me if I'm wrong, and this is a question. The RV situation that Alderman Donnell's referring to is not included in this, what we're talking about today, is not part of this. We're talking about the 2-ton thing. An RV that's a smaller RV is not going to be part of that?
That falls under a different ordinance.
Yeah.
It's still under the
Yes.
parking ordinance
Okay.
in town, but
Right.
this isn't the commercial vehicle and truck trailer and residential.
Be
This-
recreational.
Yeah, this is for commercial vehicles.
So the last thing that I want to say about this, if you guys are getting over 100 complaints on this a year, and I know that, those of us who are part of that complaint system understand what a pesky situation is, this is. And if we can eliminate this by adopting this ordinance, I believe we need to do so, because there's certainly better places for our police officers to be spending their time other than stickering trucks that are playing, what you call it, whack-a-mole with you.
Whack-a-mole, yes.
Yeah, it's because you're not going to win that game, as you've obviously figured out already. So I'm hoping that the rest of council feels the same way. So, thank you.
So I would say that we've had a lot of collateral discussion that's not pertaining to this, which is all good. This is very direct, very easy, very simple when you just look at what they're doing here. I don't think this is any problem going forward with this language for this particular problem at Committee of the Whole, because this is a no-brainer. All these other things we're talking about, I think that's good conversation going forward, but that's not what we're here for today. So I would be comfortable, if you guys would be comfortable, just taking this right to the Committee of the Whole. I just don't think there's any more to address with this particular language. Is everybody pretty much on board with that? Is there any questions or comments about that? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so, thank you, RAP Committee. I think what we'll do, as you pointed out, since we do have RAP that afternoon, we'll just come back with the actual language item, and then we'll plan to have APD there to present at COW that night. So everybody can see it, and then again, if we have to make tweaks, change, I mean, we can do that, but appreciate your reviewing this.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for presenting that. Okay. Anything else become before the RAP Committee today?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Alderman Smith, second by Alderman Bug. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 5-0. We are adjourned at 3:33.